Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
How you guys doing?
How are you guys?
Let's see if CryptoLawyer joins as well.
Good. How's everybody doing?
Hey there.
Okay, let's kick it off, I guess. Welcome, guys, to a new daily/overtime governance call. And really perfect timing after this really cool new Thales Council elections that gave us like how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 new council members, which are Holmberg, Luigi the Lemon, CryptoLawyer, and Common. And
To be
means
honest,
yeah.
Holmberg was there before.
All right.
The previous.
Sorry. Yeah, but the coolest thing about this new council is how overtime oriented it is and how these valuable community members all came from a pure organic love towards overtime product and heavy usage of overtime, and they really kind of really deserve their say in governing that product, especially next to the whole Thales protocol. So, yep, we have an agenda today, a couple cool talking points that we should discuss and also decide, like here during the call vocally, about all the tweaks that we want to see with overdrop, with overtime, with Thales token, incentives, and stuff like that. So let's kick it off first with the individual council member introductions. I guess us here who kind of have their mics enabled, let's say, will give our own intros, while we have Holmberg and Coman down in the chat room, typing stuff, I guess. So yeah, my name is Pavle, and I'm a long-time core contributor for Thales, and I had a really long run with the Thales Council. Then I had like one epoch break, and now I got elected again. And yeah, I love everything about it. I'm part of the growth team, strategy, business development, product ownership, a little bit of everything wherever I'm needed. And yeah, really happy how things are evolving and how we are finding a true product market fit with overtime, which is one of the rare crypto projects that has like a real life use case and benefits to a wide demographic of on-chain and non-crypto native people. So yeah, really excited for where this epoch is going, and let's continue building upwards, I guess. That's it from me. Then next, let's hear from Cyberduck.
What's up? What's up? Thanks, Pavle. So I've been a counselor for probably since ever. Don't recall since when. And I'm basically the face also behind Spongely. We are an overtime integrator. Currently, we're working on building our own indexer graph so we can support copy trading for overtime V2. The API kind of killed our previous integration for copy trading, but we'll get that back soon. And yeah, that's about it. I'm heavily overtime focused as well. Played around with the range markets and markets in general, and also speed markets, but mostly just lost money on those. But yeah, heavily overtime focused, and I think overtime is our number one product for Thales, and I believe that's where our focus should continue to be.
Amazing. Tzia.
Yep, thank you. Same as Paolo, I'm a Tails core contributor, I think for like almost 3 years now. I mostly did quality in the beginning, so testing and let's say quality of the DApp, the relationships with the users. now I do a bit more of BD, but yeah, still I do all kinds of different things. I have been involved in pretty much all of the dApps Thales has produced. So I also have been multiple times counselor, also a member of the Oracle Council, which deemed the purpose of resolving problematic exotic markets, which you may or may not remember. So this was Thales' version of Polymarket, pretty much. So yeah, that's about it. I would say I'm mostly overtime focused now, but I'm trying to help out in other places where needed also. So yeah, that's about it. Crypto lawyer, that's it.
Hey, my name is Nick. I've been using Overtime pretty much since launch. I've been paying attention to the governance and an active participant. I've gotten quite a few friends involved in using the platform, and I just think it's a really cool project. It's one of the ones I use every day, and I push people to use as an example of kind of like what Web3 can enable. During my normal job, I run a boutique law firm for crypto founders and investors that operates across most verticals in the space. I advise a number of DAOs, and really looking forward to keep pushing governance forward, keep pushing incentive design forward, and ideally try and minimize risk where possible while obviously still keeping the product the way the product is. But yeah, and here's a resource if anyone wants to ping me, and looking forward to moving the project forward.
Amazing. Really valuable expertise within the council, I might say. And yeah, we'll speak more on that topic during the epoch, definitely. Luigi, the lemon, the legend. Go ahead.
Right. So yeah, I'm Luigi. I've also been using Thales and Overtime pretty much since launch. I've been very involved in prediction markets for a very long time as well. Worked with Gnosis, like contributed at DXDAO, and currently at Karpathy with asset management. But yeah, just a project I use all the time, almost every day, and I really like it, and I would like to see it succeed. So I want to contribute to that as much as I can.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, ever since you joined the community, you've been really, really valuable from all the feedback and all the inputs. And now you formalize it through the council seat, and it's also fitting. Holmberg and Koman won't be kind of speaking today, but they will be available in the chat to answer any questions and give their own inputs. They're also both really heavy users of Thales products ever since we launched, and are really valuable community members that also kind of formalized their benefit to the community through this council seat. And yeah, so that's it. That's the new council, and happy to meet you all kind of personally here. And yeah, let's hope we do a lot of great work during this epoch and kind of grow even more. We are on the right track, so that's good. So I would like to kick off our first topic, like a small topic, maybe not that much to talk about, but definitely something important where we should all maybe just give out our thoughts on Thales token, DEX liquidity, LP incentives, and the future of LP reward emissions for the Thales token. And we have like the most recent tip 225, which is basically a really vanilla tip that kind of just extended the rewards a bit with a slight reduction globally. This is something that we've been doing for a long time now, where we really incrementally are dropping weekly Thales and OP and ARB emissions towards Thales DEX liquidity, where we want to mostly focus on the product itself, and we want the inflation of the token to remain as low as possible, and slowly but surely only leave the Thales DEX liquidity to the POL positions or protocol own liquidity. So we decreased the Uniswap liquidity emissions through the Arrakis infrastructure from 10,000 tailors per week to 8,000 tailors per week. We kept base network Aerodrome tailors wrapped ETH pool for the same amount, 5,000 tailors weekly in bribes. Camelot will remain at 1,500 tailors per week, even though that's kind of really negligible pool with really low TVL, no impact on any like liquidity across the whole spectrum. Then we have the new Ramses pool, tailors wrapped ETH. It's like a fork of Velodrome, and we are kind of hoping that it also blows up as Velodrome did on Optimism and Aerodrome on Base. We hope that Ramses will see its own, let's say, success on Arbitrum, and we are bribing a modest 1,500 tailors per week, down 1,000 from 2.5k, which we had recently. And we voted these emissions to run until the beginning of November, so 8 weeks, almost 2 months. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty vanilla. Everything is going as intended. We are reducing these LP rewards across the board, and yeah, I think we are no longer in a position where we are risking any LP exodus when we decrease emissions. We are way past that point, and currently, right now, it's like a really bloody altcoin bear market where there is not much action within the farming space, let's say. So yeah, we are in liquidity wise, we are in a good spot, let's say. But the only issue that I personally have is that we might have like a too fragmented liquidity across these L2s, but that's still maybe like a non-issue at this point of protocol development. So that's my kind of thinking, and I would like to hear if anyone, like, let's say, raises their hand and they have comments on this topic. Feel free to kind of just unmute and yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can just briefly continue over there. So I agree with most of the stuff that Padre already said. I want to add a couple of points. So I think we already also have written about this. So the current liquidity we are having, at least on some of these chains, they are like the liquidity is much higher than we actually need it to be, and I think most of the tokens and especially dailies, like it does not seem to have like a really high daily volume, so we could let's say use this liquidity in a much, let's say, prominent manner if the volume actually is there. I don't necessarily agree that there is that it is a bottom that like we don't risk any exodus. I mean, I agree in the sense that like if there is a slight decrease in the available TVL in these platforms, that we would probably not feel it with the current needs for the trading of the token, but I think it could possibly lead to some kind of sell-off, though I'm not really, let's say, that worried about it in the sense we handled it. So I think we did it in a good manner. We decreased it only slightly, and if and when the price of the token picks up, and Cyberduck mentioned this in the comments, so basically the APR on these platforms like Velo or Ramses or Iro is basically a direct byproduct of the price of the native token of that platform. So it kind of is mostly dependent on their side and the price of their token. So I think we basically managed to do a good thing. One more thing like to mention is people were asking like, is there really a need for us to have such an amount of TVL on base, since basically over time our main product is currently not deployed on base, which is like a valid question in my opinion. I do, however, think I'm not sure what is the consensus, like whether we are for deploying on base or not. Like I would not be against it, and but I think it is the chain that is showing the most promise. So honestly, I like to have some kind of presence there. So yeah, I just wanted to put this as a topic, so maybe some other people with other opinions can address it also. So yeah, that is for me.
Good stuff. Yeah. Anyone else? Like also the main thing to point out that we have started to see like a really heavy flow of Thales volume as overtime collateral. It's like miles above what we see on DEXs. So the trading volume of the Thales token is really low, but the usage of Thales token as collateral on overtime is really kicking off. And even though like Thales traders did have like a good streak recently, I'm still optimistic that it will bring good stuff. I was just about to sneeze and I lost it. The worst feeling ever. Sorry about that. Yeah, anyone else have any feedback or comments or like input? Where do they see this? Or like, let's take it slow.
I mean, I think being on base is good, but it's not like a huge priority, right?
Yeah.
It's just, given what it would cost to probably get it up and running, it's probably just not worth it.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, in time, we see some cool stuff where people started experimenting like that. Ex-CEO of FireWidget, he's now building like this cool mobile app that he's trying to emulate DraftKings UI with overtime contracts, and he's using like Coinbase wallet as a main login. So I don't know. Let's wait and see if Base does something like really cool with Coinbase wallet and account abstraction, chain abstraction integrated with the network level of Base network, and maybe that is something that kind of pushes us towards having like a Base focused product. And if we see a product market fit there, but right now people don't seem to kind of care. It's easy enough to bridge, and we are seeing a lot of usage on overtime and Arbitrum, well, where base on V1 didn't have much kind of volume at all, and it didn't never kicked off. So yeah, even though I see really bullish stuff on Twitter about how base is like exploding with transactions, with volume numbers, with TVL, with unique active users, I just don't see what are those users actually using on base. Where is that activity except like USDC transfers from Coinbase and stuff like that? Like, yeah, it's weird, but let's wait and see.
I think one of the arguments was that before on V1 there were basically no incentives for the users to actually use Base, and on the other side we had incentives both for Optimism and for Arbitrum because of all of these grants and incentive programs. The situation, I guess, kind of changed in the sense that with Overdrop, your activity is not limited by the chain you are doing it on. So basically, if you do your transactions on Arbitrum, you will still be eligible for some of these rewards or incentives from the other chains. So basically, if you do your transactions on Base, sometimes in the future you would still be eligible for these ARB and OP rewards. So yeah, you're not limited in that sense. So the question is whether this is actually enough. So for me, I'm just saying like a personal experience and opinion is like, for me, it's very, I'm very indifferent like on which chain I do my stuff. So I can do it on Arbitrum or Base on Optimism, especially with these bridges right now, basically, if you use a cross, you can bridge any amount of tokens like in 30 seconds or something. So I think it is maybe something that speaks in favor of deploying to base, but I don't think it's a huge priority also. But from all of these chains that we are deployed to or contemplate deploying on, I would say that base is like the only one that is kind of fresh and new. So there might be some novelty to it, and of course, because of the relation with the Coinbase product. So it could be just like this hype material. That's what I'm saying.
We discussed that in the channel
else.
as well. We discussed that in the channel as well,
Yeah.
and I shared some arguments there when I was driving, and I think like the fact that back in the day in Overtime V1 where we had base deployment and had zero activity and all the activity was still on Optimism and Arbitrum, because that's where the incentives were, just kind of supports the idea that our users aren't really network specific. They don't really care where our deployment is. They will willingly bridge over to whichever layer the deployment offers the best product and best price or best incentives. I mean, you said it yourself that you would be willing to bridge if you had to. I would be willing to bridge if I had to. I'm sure everybody else would be willing to bridge to base if base was offering the best prices and best odds and best incentives. That said, that kind of supports the argument that base really doesn't have any net new users for us. If it had, they would have joined and traded on Overtime V1 back in the day, not knowing there was an Optimism or Arbitrum deployment with incentives. So for that reason, I think like focusing on another EVM chain deployment where it's easy to bridge to isn't necessarily a very effective deployment, efficient deployment. I don't think it would bring net new users. It could possibly cater to our existing users who maybe have liquidity on that other layer and don't want to bother bridging. But I don't think it would bring new users. Maybe that base hype with Coinbase Wallet and catering to retails who just have Coinbase Wallet and never did anything else. Maybe that could work as an argument. But I have yet to see any retail normies come to other dApps that Coinbase Wallet already supports. That I just haven't heard of that persona as a network, as a network of group, or as a sample of people even existing. It's being said that they exist, but I haven't really heard about them, or I never met one.
Yeah.
So, on the other hand, what I do think is there do exist users on non-EVM chains that don't want to bother ever using EVM chain. I know those kind of users exist, and I've met them personally, mostly Solana, I suppose. And I know we've kind of contemplated on a Solana deployment historically, and I think there may have been some exploration on how to build that. Maybe that could be something we could refocus on again if we think that there is net new users on a non-EVM chain. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, makes sense. Also, we also chased some value when we expanded to networks. We were kind of always promised the grants, DAO grants, early airdrop, stuff like that. So we had like a good BD also relationship with those networks. Whereas with Base, we have like a good comms with those guys, and they're really great crew. But other than some gas sponsorship for account abstraction, there is not much kind of concrete value in chasing something on Base. If there, and I'm still suspicious, are there any users to capture expanding on Base? But yeah, let's maybe end this topic of LP rewards on that, and try and capture these other topics as well, so we don't lose track of time. And this next topic is like really cool and interesting, and we have long left it unexplored. It's like a really popular hack for growth across retail products, and that is the referral program and the referral system. So the next topic is tip 221, which is change of referral system and its future. So we recently voted in a TIP that effectively ended permissionless referrals, because every usage of that referral system was just so individuals can save up on fees. They refer to themselves through the other wallet, and all the fees they pay get circled back to them through the referral, and they have better odds, I guess, or better returns. So we just now have whitelist system where you can apply or get in touch with us, and we can decide to give you silver or gold tier referral, where you get like 50% of all protocol fees that are driven from your refers, or what's the name, people you refer to, rolls back to you. So we usually keep this gold tier referrals for any integrators such as Spongely or other front-end creators, or even marketing like projects such as like Layer 3, where they acquire users for us through their campaigns, and they refer to their users. They connect on-chain to their referred users, where all Layer 3 people that get onboarded to Overtime accrue fees to Layer 3 themselves and stuff like that. So it's really cool, but I'm curious to see, you guys are really avid users of other bookmaker products, and what did you learn from your experience, and what do you think is the future of on-chain referrals, and how can we grow using some new cool referral mechanisms? Does Luigi has anything to say on this topic? I'm kind of curious to see what does he have to say. When life gives you lemons, you create lemonade, right?
Can you repeat the question just to?
Just what do you think we should do with the referrals? Like, how do we get the referrals going?
I mean, the way I see it is that the best kinds of referrals are alternative interfaces, such as like what Spongly does, like Telegram bots. You see that kind of stuff nowadays. Um, like direct integrations with specific wallets, uh, like for example multi-sigs. That kind of stuff is the best type of integration for referrals, like B2B. I don't think user referrals are. I mean, I think they're important, but I think more people will share like word of mouth kind of sharing than they need the referrals to actually say it, because there's not really any alternatives out there. I mean, there's like one or two alternatives out there compared to Overtime, which are not really better for like the big leagues. They are inferior. So that's my opinion. Um, Having that said, I think it's something it should be analyzed and like tested.
So
Yeah.
I do think that there's like two different goals and kind of like purposes of the program, right? Like the first is like driving like real business. So that's like the partnerships, the B2B stuff, maybe like KOL people. And then like the second is just incentivizing people to share with their friends. And it's fine if we don't care about the second one, just kind of like getting individuals to share with people and get them excited. But I do think that they're basically like two separate programs and motivations as far as like incentive design. It seems like the first is really designed for the individuals, it kind of got morphed into like a B2B program, and now this kind of new program is really focused on B2B. And it probably makes sense if you guys, if there's not a lot of person-to-person referrals coming in among friends, then it doesn't make sense to maintain that type of program. And I do think it's good to just be clear about kind of the distinction there and what the goals are.
Yeah, those are definitely the two approaches. We have like B2B stuff where these developers are incentivized to build on top of Overtime because it's really simple to connect to Overtime. You just need to do the front end buttons. You need the UI ironed out, and you just connect through Overtime data, and you're good to go. And you get like 1% out of the entire volume that users drive. So if you drive like 1 million of binds through your front end, you get what, like $10,000, right? So for not much work, like you just need to maintain the front end. So you just let it run, you work on user acquisition, you use like, that's really good use case for the referrals. But also, do you guys think we should maybe explore some additional incentives towards front-end integrators, toward applications building on top of Overtime to just draw them in? And we need to establish Overtime as a software brand. Like we are the backend, we are the turnkey solution for these developers that can just permissionlessly integrate. And I think that's really cool, but widely unexplored.
Yeah, I think that's the Holy Grail. Like you can even like give some grants to get it started, like a small incentive, and then a referral fee, like in perpetuity. Like it's a bit like what Big Benny is saying, and I always detected that. Like anybody can refer themselves. Like this is trustless environment. It's the dark forest, so it's a bit silly. Like I personally didn't refer myself, but I I probably should have. I would have saved a few thousand by now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
totally
like
agree.
most of the volume is driven by like uh, let's say really big betters, and uh, they're like dear members of our community. But those people, they just like try to find the best odds they can get, and if they can get like 0.5% anywhere, I'm sure they're gonna take it if it's permissionless, which is totally fine. I mean, that's the way it was designed. I think Kronberg did some analysis, or maybe like even with help of Leifu, to see what's the actual amount of users that are referring themselves or referring like one or two addresses. So it's not really an organic thing, and I think that that's kind of normal. I do see like on Twitter these cases where I see platforms actually being successful with referrals. It's like with a really big influencer, let's say like that, and in the sense that it is beneficial for both parties. So it is beneficial for the guy sharing his link because he will get like a percentage of volume or something. And on the other side, I have seen this especially for farming purposes for airdrops, where you basically get some points if you use someone else's referral. And for me, that's kind of one of the things that has been missing, and just like I thought with this, and I think it makes sense because right now, even if you would find someone's link on Twitter, like you can just open this web page, and we have had this program running for 2 years, and there were some, let's say, organic examples. There are some users that actually brought some people, and there were a couple of integrators like Spongely, like Bookiebot, like Pure, that actually had some volume. But yeah, I don't think we actually managed it to be as successful as we wanted, because it's very, very easy. Like when you think of it, some other referral programs, they send out your rewards like at the end of the month, and they do different kinds of checks for it. Here it's very atomic. So basically, as soon as a user places a trade, you get your money, and it didn't really have the effect we wanted it to have. So yeah, definitely something needs to be changed.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So, like, what traditional bookies usually do is that they either find like these influencers to basically sponsor uh their site and give them like a bonus to people that sign up, but the guy that's referred gets like 10% or whatever. But the difference is that you actually need to bet, like both the influencer and the guy that got in, they need to bet to actually get that bonus. So in the end, you need to risk to get the biscuit, whereas in like in Thales and Overtime, every bet you'd get the money directly and cash it in. So you could say that's an improvement, but for the protocol, I think it's not. Uh, if you could turn bonus into volume, it would be far better.
Yeah, I think we have luxury of kind of using our free bet architecture to spread out incentives to front-end integrators to like I don't know. I think we can definitely kind of make something work. It's just a matter of motivating developers to build on top of Overtime and making it worth for them. So yeah, really looking forward to see like Spongely evolving, adapting to V2 and growing and stuff like that. The Telegram bots were all the rage sometime during the Unibot era, but that died down quickly. So yeah. And you know what else would be funny if we gave like gold tier referrals to some front end, and that front end uses that 1% discount and gives it back fully to the customers, and they just offer better odds than us by 1% on their own front end just to grow. And when they grow enough, then they start taking that 1% for them. That could be like a cool use case for integrating front ends to vampire some growth, like better odds than Overtime. That would be insane. That's also one risk that we could introduce with the gold tier that we need to be careful with, but that's really fun to think about. But that
I
maybe
have not seen such cases like with these referral fees, but I have seen similar stuff with products applying or getting grants. I think like with, if I'm not wrong, with Azuro and Gnosis. So they would like basically get sponsored better odds on a certain chain. And I think maybe EssexBet wanted or did something similar with the Arbitrum reward they have gotten. So I think this is also something interesting. So if we want to, I'm jumping from topic to topic now, yes, but I just wanted to connect it. So if we want to incentivize usage on a certain chain, I mean, honestly, it shouldn't be a priority to us. We can do it by offering slightly better odds on a chain that we want the usage to take place on.
yeah. So all in all, I think the referrals are really uh, at least high potential growth tool. And we just need they just need a little more attention, a little more focus to make it work. And we are still in kind of ironing out V2 phase, and things are going really well. The backend team is kind of killing it, and so yeah, I'm optimistic that when we kind of grow more and when we mature enough with the V2 architecture and Overdrop is kind of doing its own thing and stuff like that, we will get the time to kind of explore the best ideas for the referral system and you know try and make it from theory to practice, I guess. So yeah, if no one has any more comments on the referral topic, let's move on to the next one. which is other like really exciting one for me, which is staked ETH as collateral. So which TIP was this? Let me just check. So TIP stake Talis as collateral. Yeah. So tip 217 staked Talis as collateral. So we uh, managed to get it working in the back end. We built the architecture and we shipped it uh, towards the audits, and audits came back, so it's now ironing out time, and soon it will be ready to be tested. And this opens up really cool benefits for us. And there is also one important thing from the governance to discuss on this topic, which is, do we now gate all the benefits with betting with Talis to staked Talis exclusively? So this is something that I want to discuss with you guys, and it might make sense, where if you want really to have the best odds, you have to be aligned with the protocol, and that means that your Talis needs to be staked if you want all the benefits that you have with liquid Talis as collateral. So this is something that was going around in chats and in some calls, like these ideas where if this goes well, it opens up the door towards really cool stuff, and even maybe some changes in kind of tokenomics and stuff like that. So we saw like recently a lot of really professional volume, let's say, was using Talis as collateral exclusively, and it was mostly winning against the AMM LP pool seeded by the Treasury. So I believe the most part of it, it's really like a stroke of luck, where all the favorites and all the like, I don't know, it was kind of easier than usual to win single bets in the past couple weeks, I guess, and the pro flow guys are kind of taking advantage of it. But then everything is from the pro flow is kind of focused on the Talis token as collateral because of the best odds. And do we want to gate those guys that they have to stake those Talis, and all their wins with the best odds are claimed as staked Talis as well? And if they want to dump their one Talis from bets, they need to first go through the hassle of unstaking, but then they lose the yield they get. So maybe we just make it more efficient and more protocol aligned. And do you guys think this will behave negatively in, like, I don't know, just dwindling down volume because now we gated all the benefits and they just quit using Talis as collateral? Or yeah, that's basically it, rant over. So what do you guys think?
So
And
I have
please,
one.
just wanted to say that Holmberg and Koman, please, you can speak in the chat room on this topic as well. So I'll be discussing your
voice.
text messages. Yeah.
I just wanted to address one point, because Pash said it's gonna be a liquid Talis. I mean, not in a sense that you will have like a staked Talis token that you could swap anywhere. So how it works is basically you have a stake balance, and you can bet with this balance, and if you win, the rewards, they actually get added to your stake balance. So there is not like a DEX where you could swap your stake daily. So in that sense, you cannot really dump it right away. What Pudge said is what you're trying to say, I guess. So yeah, I have tested this on kind of like a testnet, and it works pretty cool, honestly. So I'm kind of really bullish on this, because like as Pudge mentioned, and I think Dan before, you actually get the rewards when you are actually staking. There is like these extra few percentages, so I think it's like a net positive for sure if you are a believer in the token. And yeah, regarding this gating or not gating, we discussed this in the private channel before. So basically, there are some other possibilities maybe also. So it could be like a slightly better percentage. So with Tailys you get like half of the benefits, and then with stake Tailys you get the full amount of them. I think this might also be something that is cool. So yeah, I honestly like what we have done with Tailys. The amount of volume it has been used for. What Pudge said is also that the one pool that has been performing slightly worse than others, just by the chance that the smart money is using it and it has slightly better odds. But I think it allows us to drive a lot of volume, and in my opinion, we should observe it and see whether this actually will be a long-term thing. And yeah, we can make the adjustments then. So yeah. What I wanted to say is like staking itself, it has its benefits in the sense that you get yield. So I'm not sure, do we need to transfer all of these benefits only to the stake dailies?
Anyone else?
I would trust the big guys like Luigi and Holmberg who actually bet big tails
Yeah.
if they would be willing to continue doing so if their winnings are staked.
Yeah, so basically it's like that narrative where like ETH staking back in the day, like staked ETH used everywhere because it yields. Now the tailies that is actively used in bets is now yielding you some stuff through staking, you know. So I don't see why anyone wouldn't stake and use the stake tailies as collateral. Like the only reason why you don't want to use stake tailies as collateral compared to liquid tailies is because you want the freedom to dump it when you win. Other than that, I don't see any kind of like switching wallets. I mean, who switches wallets or accounts anymore? Like, yeah. So and also if we get some traction with social logins and account abstraction and stuff like that, it should be fairly simple uh, to integrate staking functions calls within the overtime frontend as well, where if you connect with a smart account, social login email, you'll be able to use all the staking stuff through the dApp itself, where you don't need to go through the hassle of kind of, you know, figuring out EOA, smart account, stuff like that. So that's also a non-worry there as well. So yeah, I'm curious to like Luigi, give me one reason why stake tailies as collateral and gating all the benefits through the staked tailies, sorry, I just keep using ETH, staked tailies as collateral, what would be the negative, let's say, in all of that, if there are any?
I mean, the negative would be like if everyone switches to stake tallies, then stake tallies will have no yield because the yield is coming from USDC volume. That's something I pointed out to the council earlier. So that's the biggest concern. Like if every large battery moves to stake tallies, there will be no yield, so tallies may actually go down in value. So it's like the meme of the the parentheses with three stake, like from the VE tokens. It either all goes up or all goes down. So that's the concern, but I think it's a very good feature for the people that are staking, especially already. I think people that are betting USDC, like lately I've been betting USDC. Uh, I think it's not necessarily uh, something that will make people shift to Thales. I think that people that were already looking into buying Thales for betting, this will be a further incentive to do that. So yeah, those are the two dynamics, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So it's really curious. It's really curious to kind of think about it, and also like uh, what happens with all the losses, like when you use take tailies uh, and you lose, what happens to that tailies, and also if when you win, like all the 2% fees, what happens to those as well. Then there is also a cool internal discussion for the tokenomic exchange where all the buyback and burn mechanisms could be replaced maybe more efficiently, where there are people, I mean, I'm among those people kind of, where I see burn as being inefficient, where it could be replaced, all the buyback stuff that's happening shouldn't be burned, but should be distributed back, and not only distributed as liquid tailies, but maybe distributed as free bets. So basically, one cool system that we could have to kind of make everything more efficient could be buyback and distribute as free bets system. And I think that would be really cool to explore, kind of like in theory, I guess, and someone should tell me why this is not efficient.
That's actually a pretty good idea, but I mean, even Synthetics is moving to buyback and distribute away from buyback and burn, because that does increase staking yield for everybody, whereas burn doesn't. But I do kind of like your idea of bundling that distribution as a free bet rather than a direct distribution, because that kind of loops everybody back in the game of betting more.
Yeah, and it aligns the stakers for traders as well, where you know, uh, if you stake a lot of tailies, you also get a lot of free bets. And if you are a strong power user, you like those free bets, right? And you want to get them as much as possible. So, yeah, interesting to think about. But although, yeah, using USDC and ETH gives real yield to the protocol and for stakers and the user, while using tailies gets the flow for the tailies token, gets the burn, gets the, so it's like a really like, what's the word, delicate balance there, where you don't want exclusively tailies to be used the most, because then the real yield dries up. But then again, you get the tailies flowing more and more. Uh, but if you, yeah, so I don't know how to navigate this right now, but it's definitely something for this council to discuss and iron out, and yeah.
Yeah, I play the devil's advocate with that idea in my mind. Distributing it as free bets to stakers kind of implies that stakers are bettors as well. And I know Big Penny is going to raise his hand that we shouldn't automatically make every staker a user.
Yeah.
So maybe that's going a bit between like an overkill idea, but buyback and distribute is something I'm willing to consider because it does increase the yield of the stakers, even when everybody is betting through sales.
Yeah, and one also point is that we now have like a really small tailies inflation through staking rewards, and buybacks could, just gets distributed to stakers and get the inflation zero, So we don't need to distribute any tailies rewards to stakers. You can just use the buybacks I guess so. Yeah, it's a discussion as old as time, buyback and burn versus direct distribution versus no staking at all. It's a giant topic to discuss. But as overtime kind of evolves and grows more and more, I think the solution will become more and more evident of what needs to be done, to accommodate for overtime specific product. I guess because it's our flagship. And yeah, anyone else have any thoughts on the staked tails as collateral, its effects, the negatives, the positives, how it changes the tokenomics, how it entails us to discuss other wider tokenomic changes and stuff like that. Yeah, let's not go deep into that rabbit hole again, as we did with that temp check, if everyone remembers it. Yeah.
Pavle, somebody circled around the idea of let's rebrand to overtime.
Oh, that was not in the agenda, but that's definitely a topic to discuss. So I don't know. It's that's yeah. So, but the final topic of this call is the overdrop progress and the future of overtime. So we can touch upon that on the next topic. And yeah, let's finish with the stake tails as collateral, and let's get to overdrop first, and then we'll touch upon the big future of overtime and tails in the middle of it and the protocol and stuff like that. So let's see. So overdrop. We are seeing a lot of cool action ever since we launched Overdrop. It's widely praised. People are loving it. Our, behind the scenes, other projects are kind of also loving it. Core contributors of other projects are loving it, trying to even mimic it for the growth hack. And yeah, the design team did a really good job. The front-end developers did a massive job, an incredible job with the API and off-chain kind of point system. And it is finally proven that it's best done internally when you have like this talent on board, and you don't need to onboard any third-party turnkey software to make the best product as possible. And the leaderboard is crazy. Like the number one address has like $300,000 of buy-ins ever since we launched. He's definitely a legend. He's level 12, which is of course legend. Then we have two Hall of Famers, both with over $200,000 worth of buy-ins. Then we have one guy, Elite, $147,000 of buy-ins so far. Plenty of guys above $30,000 of buy-ins, which is insane. So we are getting our fair share of power users, and yeah, they are definitely sharks, let's say, and the system is working nicely. Everything is stable. The LP pools are up and down. There are no evident like holes in the backend where these like I guess one of the sharpest users you can get are the ones you will get on the permissionless on-chain platform, and we are kind of keeping up with those really admirably. And I think these centralized bookmakers have the luxury of banning these users and limiting them specifically and just like doing whatever they want, but we don't have that luxury, and so we are doing rather well. So the concrete topic that we need to discuss is that we should definitely try and incentivize parlay action more and more. And one idea within the council is just boost the parlay XP numbers, that the parlay XP boost significantly, like increase it for like 50% boost per game like within the parlay. So that's the idea. Like right now we have some increment steps where you get like 10%, 20%, 30% for like every game you add on a parlay. Then when you cross 5 games, that steps increase to 15% per game, then 20%. And we just go all in and just allow people to get as much bonus as possible if they build parlays. All the top spots in the Overdrop leaderboard are basically singles users like whales that are doing also quite well with the PNL. So what do you guys think? And do you agree that we should heavily boost the parlay XP accrual?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely the most profitable for the protocol as long as you can manage essentially like the volatility. Then it's definitely the way to go.
I think like one of the concerns was not to give the parlays too much weight. So basically, to allow the users to game the overdrop program by spamming parlays that are worth too many points. But I think the way we discussed this, it would be still very difficult to do it in a reasonable manner. So I think it makes sense to try, and we have had some success before with those parlay competitions. I think it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, from my math, I don't see how anyone can exploit heavy parlay boosts where because they increase their risk and their global odds of the parlay, where it benefits the protocol more than it accrues XP faster to those users, I guess. So I guess we are all in agreement that we should allow parlay whales to kind of increase, like get more XP, and that should also incentivize people to use parlays more and more, and kind of be good for the protocol itself. So what do you guys think? Should we do like 30% steps between levels or 50% steps per level? Is 50% too generous, in my question? No one wants to tackle this. No one wants to be the responsible one for changing the system. Yeah, Common has the right point as well.
Yeah, I
He
think.
agrees with Daniel, yeah.
Yeah.
So 30% for now for this update. Let's see what it does, and then be open-minded toward an increase to 50% if necessary. So yeah, I kind of agree with that, and that we will probably go ahead with that as soon as tomorrow, I guess, with the official announcement and the update. You know how those multiplayer games get those updates, buffs, and nerfs. It's cool that we have Overdrop and we get to do those stuff on 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 our whatever. So yeah, 30%. I guess we all agree. We are buffing Parlay XP. Okay. And on that topic, do you guys have any feedback on the overdrop so far? Would you change anything? Do you have any like comments? I'm curious to see how council members feel so far about the overdrop, and yeah, and after that, let's discuss what happens after overdrop.
I'm a fan. It's definitely engaging, pretty gamified. The one comment I'd have is that it is like fairly confusing. It takes a little bit to get into. I don't think that's necessarily a problem, but it's not super intuitive. But overall, I think it's a good system.
Yeah, like TLDR, more volume, more points, more airdrop. And then if you want to go into specifics, higher the odds, with the higher volume, you get more XP. So yeah, then if you get into more specific, it gets more and more complicated, where what type of behavior accrues, what type of points, like what's the boost, what's the multipliers, what's the leveling up, what's the free bets. So yeah, it's like a really cool multiplayer game, like massive MOBA, right? So yeah, let's see if we have any chat comments. Scooter saying he really likes the Overdrop program, but he would love to have quarterly payouts or 6-month payouts, and not like a single year-long airdrop. But yeah, that's a valid response, but we kind of deliberately wanted to do like a giant airdrop in 1 year, to get, people kinda into a speculation mode where, you don't know what the airdrop is going to be worth in June 2025, but you kinda know what it's going to be worth in like 2-3 months from now or stuff like that. So yeah, we are, as Daniel said, we are stopping you from selling, and we are making you an diamond hands Chad. So yeah, and let's now finish up this gov call with, where do you guys see the Overdrop's future? What do you think is the best way forward, with the intersection between what is the Thales protocol and what is overtime? And we definitely saw some confusion, or like, let's say, we don't have like certain brand awareness. We have certain brand awareness problems right now, where the Thales protocol is kind of left in the dark, by overtime is kind of expanding into this really recognizable brand and really useful app. And there were some talks about how we should definitely focus fully on overtime, and then figure out how to morph, how to combine the Thales protocol into the overtime brand, and maybe, who knows, do some cool stuff maybe as soon as next year on that topic. So do you guys think that Thales is kind of confusing now that overtime is kicking off? And like, yeah, what do you think is the way forward? And maybe touch upon the risks of kind of trying to morph Thales into the overtime brand.
It is confusing when at ECC in France, because like everyone thinks we produce airplanes and bombs. So, yeah, that's one thing. But I definitely think there has been challenges in the past to properly explain that overtime is a front end, but that's built on Thales contracts, and some of the people, they know overtime, some of them know Thales. A lot of them don't know they're actually connected. What I have seen also is someone asking like, where can I place a bet on tonight's game? And on Twitter, people write Thales, but like when someone would open the Thales profile, there would be like very little mention of sports betting. So yeah.
Yeah,
I think unifying it makes sense.
Yeah, just to explain, there is this Thales group, which is like a global weapons manufacturer conglomerate or whatever, and they are like, part of the military industrial complex in France. And everyone, when they see Thales shirts in France on conference in Belgium, they always think we build drones that carry weapons and stuff like that. So it's quite funny. So, but yeah, overtime is definitely more marketable as a brand. And yeah, maybe in time it makes most sense that we migrate or morph everything within the overtime brand, and trying our best not to injure the current setup we have. Like, we don't want anyone to kind of, feel forgotten, I guess. So it needs to be like not a spin-off, but if it ever happens, it definitely should be a type of like migration and like combination of two brands to make the best thing possible, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of my idea there. And we have this like really cool XP system right now that lasts until June 2025. And maybe this is like the perfect timing to start having these conversations and these researching these topics, I guess. And this council epoch is in the middle of it, so you guys also need to roll up your sleeves and get some cool, crazy ideas going, I guess. So yeah, Cyberduck, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we just need to give it more thought, but I think rebrand is fitting. It would help both marketing over time itself and kind of move us away from that weapons manufacturing narrative that isn't working for us.
Yeah, but whatever happens, the Thales holders just need to, Thales holders need to go like 1-to-1. Whatever new thing happens, whatever exotic migration or whatever happens, Thales holders need to like keep keep their protocol alignment completely and not get like super diluted or anything like that, you know.
For sure, there
Yeah,
shouldn't be
so
any dilution.
that's the hard part.
Value
Yeah.
should remain. Reset the chart, give it a better name, or just rebrand to over or overtime. Zebra we've had.
Yeah, and that is like super exciting to think about. Yeah. So yeah, any more feedback on this? I guess not. So yeah, we are in the territory of like what do you say? Uh, you know, we are all kind of tired. It's already like 1 hour and 15 minutes deep into the golf call, and yeah, we did cover a lot of cool stuff, and it was really productive. And I hope the audience kind of got familiar with this council more, even though we didn't hear voices of the valuable, a couple valuable members, even though, but they did, respond to everything in the chat rooms. And yeah, I guess on this note, we can now end this golf call. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, the council members, for joining in. This is really was a constructive 1 hour, and it gets me motivated, and I guess it gets you guys motivated as well. And yeah, let's keep this direction going. Let's grow over time and the whole protocol. And yep, that's it. Thank you all for coming, and let's chat in the chat rooms until the next golf call, I guess.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.